Tony Blair, the most influential leader in the UK ever known. We recognise him for his leadership style, influence on others, and his contribution to this country.
Born in Edinburgh, Tony Blair spent most of his time in Durham. He studied in Chorister School in Durham, finished A-level in Fettes College, then graduated from St John's College in Oxford. Tony had one aim: to make it to the rock music business, preferably as a performer, where he led a rock band called Ugly Rumours during his gap year. In spring 1974, he was confirmed in the Church of England by college chaplain. After graduation from St John's College, he moved to Alch Court, London, and joined Chelsea Labour Party, and then he married Sherry Booth, and this is when his political career began.
Dave Stitt suggested that a leader has to have the ability to understand their current situation, know where they want to end up, and have a plan to get there. Tony Blair clearly demonstrated all these attributes. Tony first joined the Labour Party in 1975 and spent 4 years at grassroots level studying the party, its internal politics, and forming an opinion on why the party was, in his view, unelectable. He felt that it needed to make major changes if it was ever to be elected into power again, and he knew the only way to change the party was from within. His big break came with the Beaconsfield by-election in 1982. This was a safe Conservative seat which he knew he didn't have a chance of winning, but he was playing the long game and he had to make an impression within the party. He lost the election, however as a career move it had been a success. He'd met and impressed a large number of senior Labour politicians. By May 1983, the general election was approaching and most seats had already selected their candidates. The newly created seat of Sedgefield, close to his childhood home in Durham, was the last in the country to select a candidate. Tony worked hard to first get selected and then to get elected, an incredible result in 5 weeks. The hard work, determination and ability to both plan, strategize and yet react quickly and decisively to opportunities showed some admirable leadership qualities. It was during these years from 1983 to 1994 that Blair's political ambitions and views matured. He worked hard to change the party into something that could once more be elected into power. Over this period he met with the key figures of Gordon Brown, Peter Mandelson and Alistair Campbell, who shared his views, and they formed the core group behind New Labour with Tony as leader.
At the start of Tony Blair's first term as Prime Minister, things were looking up for the Labour Party. Blair had a period of 3 years to prepare for power, and popularity for the party had grown due to agendas to radically transform government and the UK as we entered the new millennium. In 1997, Labour won the election with a large parliamentary majority. The most prolific successes of this period were in constitutional reforms, economic growth and stability, and social and welfare changes. Blair's most notable leadership trait was his charisma, which he used to inspire confidence in the British public. Many public appearances were a way to create a relationship with the people of Britain, to win public opinion on a more human level. At the forefront of every major event, Blair was there personally to lead the country, the foot and mouth disease outbreak being a prime example of this. This approach was portrayed in the media and to the public as confidence and surety. On the other side of this, he used his charisma to keep other government officials in check. Blair's style of leadership was authoritarian, and within the government he acted more like a commander-in-chief. With regards to key decisions, it was he and a close inner circle who made them. This led to polarisation between some senior MPs, especially with his successor Gordon Brown.
Tony Blair demonstrated that a good leader can change his goals and aims depending on a process at a given time. Blair was willing to change the timescales and aims of the ongoing actions in Iraq and Afghanistan once doubts had been raised around the WMD claims. Tony Blair moved the mission purpose to one of nation building rather than fighting nationalised terrorism, showing his willingness to negotiate his way to a new plan and a way forward. Blair also demonstrated his willingness to negotiate an outcome during his handover to Gordon Brown in 2009. All good leaders should be prepared to step aside at the correct time. When the new incumbent is in a position to take on the role, this also shows Blair's understanding of the psychological motivations needed to drive the people around him to actualisation. This period of Blair's leadership shows his negotiating skills to get the required outcome in trying circumstances and his understanding of the team's emotional needs.
His later career is not about politics, but it's about leadership and inspiring others by sharing his ideology, policy and philosophy, which we will never forget. When the country's morale and spirits were down, Blair led the Labour Party and country to the full. He used the same tactic when he became peace envoy of Middle East, especially he used his influence for peace talk between Israel and Palestine. His leadership earned many awards for his service, many of which includes Presidential Medal, Liberty Medal and Dan David Prize. How history will ultimately remember Tony Blair is anyone's guess, but in terms of inspiring leader, he is the best and ever will be that country ever.